Have you ever thought about the importance of final resting places and their sanctity? In the tranquility of Florida National Cemetery, a place of honor for our deceased veterans and their spouses, this sanctity has recently been called into question. Not once, but twice, the cemetery has been the site of unsettling mix-ups that have left families in dismay and the community in disbelief. The first of these incidents unfurled last August. In a heart-wrenching twist of events, the cremains of a woman were mistakenly mixed with those of the wrong veteran, a mix-up that not only disrupted the peace of the deceased, but also left the living grappling with a distressing reality. Fast forward to this summer, and yet another incident emerged from the shadows. A woman's casket was found resting in a crypt, but not next to her late husband. Instead, she was found next to a stranger, a man she had never known in life. These incidents, as horrendous as they are, have left us questioning the trustworthiness of the cemetery's management. The final resting place, a sanctuary of peace and remembrance, has been disrupted, leaving behind a trail of questions and a need for answers. Can we trust those who manage these sacred spaces? Can we find solace in knowing our loved ones are resting in peace? These are the questions we find ourselves asking as we delve deeper into these unsettling mix-ups at Florida National Cemetery. Let's attempt to understand the gravity and implications of these mix-ups. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? To imagine the final resting place of your loved one being disturbed or worse, mistaken for someone else's. It's not something we often think about, but when it happens, it strikes at the very core of our faith in the sanctity of final goodbyes. Experts in cemetery and funeral home negligence didn't mince words when they got wind of these incidents. Jack Hales, a pillar in the field, labeled the mistakes as horrendous. An unsettling term, yet perhaps the most fitting one to describe such a violation of trust and dignity. We can't help but delve into the most recent of these mishaps. It happened in June. A woman's casket, meant to be placed in the grave vault of her late husband, was found in the wrong crypt. The VA press secretary, in response to the incident, offered an explanation that the spouses had similar names. But is that really enough to justify such a profound error? It's an explanation that seems to trivialize the deep emotional distress caused to the family involved. The ashes from last summer's mistake, where a woman's cremains were inadvertently mixed with the wrong veteran's cremains, were separated after the error was discovered. But the damage, as they say, had been done. The trust of the families involved was already shattered. The sanctity of their loved one's final resting place already violated. These incidents have shaken the faith of many in the sanctity of their loved one's final resting place. And it's not just about faith. It's about respect, dignity, and the assurance that our dear departed are laid to rest with the honor they deserve. As we continue to unravel the layers of these unsettling incidents, we can't help but wonder, what does this mean for the future of our cemeteries? And more importantly, what measures can be taken to prevent such incidents from happening again? What happens after such grave mistakes are made? A question that lingers in the minds of those affected by the unsettling mix-ups at Florida National Cemetery. When the unthinkable occurs, the immediate course of action becomes crucial. In the aftermath of these incidents, immediate measures were taken to rectify the errors. Last summer, when the cremains of a woman were mistakenly mixed with those of an unrelated veteran, a painstaking process was undertaken to separate the mixed ashes. It was a delicate operation, handled with the utmost care and respect for the departed souls and their bereaved families. The mix-up discovered in June also necessitated swift action. A woman's casket was found in a crypt with the wrong late husband, a discovery that left the families involved in shock and disbelief. Upon realization of this error, the families were promptly notified. The casket was relocated, ensuring that the woman was laid to rest next to her rightful husband. The VA press secretary stated that the spouses had similar names, a detail that led to the mix-up. Though a seemingly minor detail, it was enough to cause an upheaval of emotions and a breach of trust. The families involved in these grave mix-ups were reassured that the matters were resolved. But what about the trust that was shattered? The faith that families place in the hands of those who lay their loved ones to rest is sacred. And when that trust is broken, it leaves a lasting impact. While the ashes were separated and the caskets relocated, the emotional scars remain. The families involved have to grapple with the fact that their loved ones' final resting places were disturbed. The faith they once had in the cemetery's ability to respectfully handle their loved ones' remains has been shaken. While the mix-ups were resolved, they have left a lasting impact on the trust of the families involved. These incidents serve as a stark reminder of the importance of diligence and attentiveness in every aspect of our lives, even in death. What does the law say about such negligence? That's the question on everyone's mind following these unsettling mix-ups at the Florida National Cemetery. The legal landscape surrounding these incidents is a complex one, varying significantly from state to state. In some states, laws are in place to specifically address negligence in the handling of remains. These laws may provide for civil penalties, such as fines or lawsuits, or even criminal penalties, in cases of intentional mishandling or desecration. However, the specifics of these laws can vary widely, with some states providing more robust protections than others. In Florida, where these incidents occurred, there are laws governing the operation of cemeteries and the handling of remains. However, it's not entirely clear how these laws apply in cases of mix-ups like the ones we've discussed. The Florida Division of Funeral, Cemetery, and Consumer Services is responsible for overseeing these matters, but so far, there are no records of complaints filed in relation to these incidents. Interestingly, this type of negligence is not covered by federal law. While there are federal regulations governing the operation of national cemeteries, these rules do not specifically address the issue of mix-ups or misplacement of remains. This leaves a significant gap in the legal protections for families affected by these types of incidents. So where does this leave us, unfortunately, in a bit of a gray area? It's clear that more needs to be done to prevent these types of mistakes from happening in the first place. But when they do occur, the legal remedies available to families can be unclear and vary widely, depending on where the incident occurred. And while legal action can provide some measure of justice, it's a poor substitute for the peace of mind that comes from knowing your loved one's final resting place is secure. The legal framework around such incidents remains murky and varies from state to state. How does the community respond to such incidents? This is a question that demands our attention. When unsettling events such as the mix-ups at the Florida National Cemetery occur, they can have a profound impact on the community's collective psyche. Imagine for a moment the ripple effect of these incidents. Trust is a fundamental cornerstone of any community, and these mix-ups have the potential to erode that trust. The local community, especially those with loved ones laid to rest in the cemetery, may now harbor a sense of apprehension. They may question the integrity of the cemetery's operations and grow fearful of becoming the next victims of such disconcerting mistakes. The fear of similar incidents happening in the future could cast a shadow of doubt over the cemetery's services. The community may begin to question if their loved ones are indeed resting in peace, or if their final resting place could be subject to such a distressing mix-up. This uncertainty can have a long-lasting impact, leading to a sense of unease and anxiety. The emotional impact on the families of the deceased cannot be overstated. Dealing with the loss of a loved one is challenging enough without the added distress of such mix-ups. It's a stark reminder that the actions of one entity can have far-reaching consequences, affecting the emotional well-being of individuals and the community at large. Furthermore, these incidents could also influence the broader perception of the community towards cemeteries and funeral homes in general. It could lead to a call for more transparency and accountability in these sectors, prompting a reevaluation of practices and procedures. These incidents have the potential to cause significant distress in the community. They serve as a sobering reminder of the importance of due diligence, respect, and care in handling the final rights of individuals, a task that carries immense emotional and symbolic weight. However, they also present an opportunity for reflection, change, and improvement in the way we handle such sensitive matters. How can we prevent such incidents in the future? This is a question that naturally arises in the wake of such disconcerting events. Prevention, as they say, is better than cure. So what can be done to prevent these incidents in the future? Let's delve into some possible preventive measures. Firstly, stricter regulations may be necessary. This could involve establishing more stringent checks and balances within the cemetery management system. It could mean implementing protocols that demand multiple layers of verification before a burial or cremation is carried out. Secondly, better management practices at cemeteries could go a long way in preventing mix-ups. This might involve upgrading to more advanced tracking systems, much like those used in hospitals, where each patient's identity is confirmed multiple times before any procedure. In the context of cemeteries, this could involve barcoding or tagging caskets and urns, and using digital records to track their placement. Another measure could be increased transparency and communication with the families of the deceased. This might involve keeping families informed about each step of the process, from initial preparations to the final placement of the casket or urn. By involving families more closely in the process, the likelihood of errors could be significantly reduced. It's also worth considering the role of technology in preventing such incidents. For instance, the use of GPS tracking and digital mapping could help to accurately identify and record the final resting place of each individual. This data could then be cross-checked with the cemetery's records to ensure accuracy. Lastly, ongoing training and education for cemetery staff could be key. This could help to ensure that all staff members are aware of the procedures and protocols in place and understand the importance of adhering to them. While these measures may not completely eliminate the possibility of such incidents, they can significantly reduce their likelihood. As we reflect on these disturbing incidents, it's clear that such mix-ups are not just unfortunate errors, but deeply distressing events for the families involved. Over the course of this discussion, we've delved into the unsettling incidents at the Florida National Cemetery, taking a closer look at the mishaps that led to the mix-up of cremains and the placement of a woman's casket alongside the wrong late husband. We've explored the aftermath of these mix-ups, the turmoil they've caused, and the attempts to rectify the mistakes. But the emotional scars these incidents leave behind can't be simply swept under the rug. The sanctity of a final resting place is of utmost importance. It provides a space for loved ones to grieve, to remember, and to honor the departed. When this sanctity is compromised, it's more than just a logistical error. It's a violation of trust, a source of anguish, and a reminder of loss. Furthermore, we've discussed the legal implications surrounding these cases. It's evident that the laws governing such incidents vary greatly from state to state, and there's a clear need for more comprehensive regulations at a federal level. But legal measures alone aren't enough. It's crucial that cemeteries and funeral homes uphold the highest standards of care and respect for the deceased and their families. The impact of these incidents on the community can't be understated. They shake our trust in institutions that are supposed to provide comfort and closure. They remind us of the need for vigilance, for accountability, and for compassion in dealing with matters of life and death. In light of these incidents, preventive measures are more important than ever. From improving record-keeping to enhancing oversight, it's crucial that steps are taken to ensure such mix-ups don't happen in the future. Let's hope that these incidents serve as a wake-up call for better management and regulation of cemeteries. After all, every individual deserves a peaceful and dignified final resting place, and every family deserves the comfort of knowing their loved ones are at rest.